The challenges facing the DRC and our region must be addressed comprehensively with a clear focus on the root causes rather than through selective and partial approaches.
Tensions have remained high between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, despite both parties signing a peace accord brokered by the US. The bad blood between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo was in full display as the parties minced no words at a summit held at State House Entebbe under the auspices of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region. The President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, openly accused Rwanda of direct involvement in the latest incursion on Uvira in South Kivu, less than 2 days after they signed a peace deal in the US witnessed by the regional leaders. Tshisekedi pointed out that the Democratic Republic of Congo services had documented the crossing of the South Kivu border by more than 3,000 additional Rwanda soldiers a few days before the events in Uvira. The number is an addition to that of the M23 rebels, whom Tshisekedi claimed are Rwandan proxies.
We cannot talk about bring about lasting peace in Eastern DRC without talking about M23. M23 are the lead actors in Eastern DRC.
M23 rebels claimed withdrawal from the town that is approximately 27 kilometers away from Burundi's capital, Bujumbura, following international and regional condemnation. However, Tshisekedi dismissed the claims as untrue, saying that the alleged withdrawal of the M23 does not match the facts with observation gathered on the ground. Tshisekedi, who spoke through teleconferencing, added that the armed elements maintain presence in the city and its immediate surroundings. The strategic positions remain occupied and the population continues to be exposed to abuses. Tshisekedi demanded that any claims of withdrawal should be verifiable instead of being based on circumstantial statements. He demanded unequivocal withdrawal of the entire Rwandan troops from the Democratic Republic of Congo and that the joint verification mechanism and coordination group of the framework agreement should be established by the International Conference on the Great Lakes region.
The Washington and Doha process, peace pact, provide for withdrawal. And withdrawal is a process, it's not an event. So yes, in some areas he says they claim to have withdrawn, but they are still there. The question is, who has verified that? And that's why we are saying the regional force should now come in as a neutral force to go and do the verification. Because it's a question of DRC word against M23 or against Rwanda.
Rwanda, in a statement delivered by the Minister for Interior, Vincent Biruta, called for the operationalization of the ceasefire monitoring mechanism as it challenged that one party to the conflict cannot be allowed to perform the overseeing and monitoring.
One accused the other also countered by accusing the other. But I think all versions were correct. It was correct for Rwanda to say FDLR is in the DRC. It was also correct to say that Rwanda forces are in DRC. So there was no blame game.
Biruta blamed the humanitarian crisis on the non-implementation of the agreed commitments, particularly in respect to the ceasefire.
A key concern to Rwanda that cannot be overlooked is the continued presence and activities of the genocidal armed group FDLR, which is supported by DRC forces. Rwanda reiterates the urgent need for the neutralization of this negative force as clearly stipulated in the CONOX.
FDLR is an armed rebel group composed of ethnic Hutu who are opposed to the Tutsi. While Tshisekedi called for the withdrawal of the uninvited troops operating in the Democratic Republic of Congo, something that is captured in the communique, Rwanda also challenged the need to consider the mission of the invited forces.
Invited forces could be dealing with a regional threat, such as the activities of terrorist armed groups, but invited forces could also be supporting genocidal armed groups such as the FDLR. So a distinction between both is very important.
The Kigali government also showed opposition to creating new mechanisms for resolving the conflict.
Let me emphasize the need to put together all efforts towards implementation of existing mechanisms and avoid creating new ones which might provide opportunities for spoilers to divert attention from agreed priorities.
Rwanda prefers the Doha process, which it states should be resumed to conclude on the remaining protocols.
Rwanda remains fully committed to playing its part and to upholding all her obligations and calls upon all actors to faithfully implement the already signed agreements. In this regard, Rwanda calls for the resumption of the Doha process to negotiate and conclude the remaining protocols as soon as possible.
You know, in a discussion, everybody is free to float their opinion. In a discussion, there are, opinions that the Doha and the Washington process should lead. But of course, as we discussed down the road, we concluded that the regional mechanism must take center stage, only complemented by the international initiatives.
Jackson Onyango, NTV.